A few weeks ago, at almost 1 in the morning, I typed one sentence into an AI and hit enter before I could talk myself out of it. Why will I never be rich? I expected the usual. Cut your coffee, make a budget, buy index funds and wait 40 years. I'd heard it 1,000 times and none of it had ever changed anything. Instead, it asked me a question back. How many hours did you work today? And how much of that time made you money while you were asleep? I sat there for a second, genuinely stuck. The honest answer was 0. Every hour of my day was already spoken for before I even woke up. And I had never once stopped to notice that. That's when I knew this wasn't going to be a normal conversation. So I gave it everything. My income, every recurring bill, my job title, my sleep schedule, even a rough breakdown of how I actually spend my evenings. The parts one don't put on a resume. Scrolling, half-watched shows, nothing dramatic, just hours quietly disappearing. 45 seconds later, it gave me one sentence back that I have not been able to stop thinking about since. You are not poor. You are rented. Rented. Like my entire life had been leased out, piece by piece, to someone else's calendar. It explained what it meant. Every hour of my day was already sold. Sold to a job. Sold to bills. Sold to habits I never consciously chose. Just inherited from being tired and busy. When it laid my full day out hour by hour, there was almost no white space left. Job, commute, bills, sleep, repeat. There was exactly one sliver left unclaimed. 12 minutes. That's it. Out of 24 hours. 12 minutes technically belonged to nobody but me. And I was spending even that scrolling. Then it said something that actually stung. Rich people don't have more hours than you. They just refuse to rent all of theirs. I wanted to argue with that. I couldn't. So I asked it to prove it. To actually show me why. Mathematically, I'd stay exactly where I was if nothing changed. And it did. In a way that split everything into 3 problems it called cages. Because that's exactly what they felt like once I saw them. Cage 1. It called the income ceiling. I was trading a fixed number of hours for a fixed amount of pay. And that trade has a hard mathematical limit built into it. No matter how much harder I worked, I physically could not produce more than 24 hours of value in a single day. I could grind myself into the ground and the ceiling wouldn't move an inch. Because the ceiling was never about effort. It was about the structure of the trade itself. Cage 2 was the one that actually made me uncomfortable. Because it wasn't about being broke. It called this one the comfort trap. My salary was just enough. Enough to pay rent. Enough to order takeout without checking my balance. Enough to feel like things were basically fine. Not enough to ever build real wealth, but just enough to remove any urgency to change anything. The AI told me this is statistically the most dangerous income bracket that exists. Not the lowest incomes, but the ones sitting right at, comfortable enough to stay. Because desperation forces change, comfort just quietly postpones it. Year after year, until you look up and a decade is gone. Cage 3 it called invisible lifestyle debt. Every single time my income had gone up over the years, my spending had quietly gone up right along with it. A slightly nicer apartment, a better car, subscriptions I'd completely forgotten I was paying for. All individually reasonable, all invisible when you add them up. And it showed me the number that actually mattered. Which wasn't my income at all. It was the gap between what I earned and what I spent. My gap was 4%. It told me people who actually build wealth, regardless of how much they earn, protect a gap of at least 30%. Every single month, without exception. 4% versus 30%. That one number explained more about my financial life than every budgeting app I'd ever downloaded and abandoned. So I asked the obvious question. How do I fix this without cutting out everything I actually enjoy? And instead of telling me to cancel my coffee subscription, it told me to go find what it called my ghost expenses. spending I had agreed to once and then completely forgotten existed. It walked me through finding them. And we found six recurring charges quietly draining $410 a month. None of which added one single ounce of joy to my life. I didn't even remember signing up for 2 of them. Killing those 6 ghosts alone took my gap from 4% to 11%. Almost tripled it. And I didn't give up a single thing I actually cared about. 11% still wasn't the number rich people protect. Though, there was still cage 3 left to break. And the AI's next line is the one that actually set the direction for everything that came after. You've fixed your leaks. Now you need a second income that doesn't cost you more hours. Not a side hustle that eats your evenings. Something that doesn't touch the very thing you're already out of. Which brought us back to that 12-minute sliver from earlier. The one unrented part of my day. It asked me directly what I actually did with it. And I told the truth. I scrolled. Every single day. Without exception. It didn't lecture me about that either. It just asked one question. What is 12 minutes a day? Compounded over 10 years. Actually worth in hours. We did the math together. 730 hours. Enough, it said, to genuinely learn a skill that could change what I'm capable of earning entirely. So it gave me a rule. And it was simpler than I expected. Protect that hour first. Before touching anything else. Not a course. Not a 5-year plan. 1 hour a day that belongs to nobody but you. Guarded like it's the most valuable thing you own. Because apparently it is. Then rule 2. Turn that hour into a skill with an actual price tag attached to it. Not just a hobby you enjoy in private. It made me list every skill I already had that a stranger somewhere would genuinely pay for. I sat there blank for a minute. And then I had 3 things I'd never once thought of as assets. Because I'd only ever thought of them as things I happened to be decent at. Rule 3 was the one that pushed me the hardest. Build the smallest, most embarrassing possible version of that skill into actual income. This week, not someday. Its exact words were, a $20 sale this week teaches you more than a $2,000 plan you never launch. So I did the smallest version of my idea I could think of and posted it that same night. Half convinced nothing would happen. 3 days later my phone buzzed. $20. Money that had nothing to do with my job, my boss, or my schedule. It genuinely wasn't about the amount. It was proof that the cage I'd been staring at for weeks was actually breakable. That it had never been permanently locked. Just untested. That week the AI sent me one more message that I think about more than almost anything else it said. You didn't need more time. You needed to stop renting the time you already had. I sat with my laptop closed for a long while after reading that one. Because it meant the excuse I'd used for years. The quiet, reasonable sounding, I just don't have time, had never actually been true. I had 12 minutes. I simply hadn't claimed them yet. So here's what actually happened over the next 90 days of following this. Exactly as laid out. No shortcuts. My spending gap went from 4% to 19%. Without cutting a single thing that genuinely mattered to me. That 12-minute skill turned into something bringing in an extra $640 a month. Consistently. Combined with the ghost expenses I'd already killed. That's an extra $1,150 a month that has nothing to do with my job. Money my employer cannot touch, freeze, or take away with one bad quarter. Annualized. That's $13,800 a year. Sitting completely outside my 9 to 5. But honestly, the number that mattered most to me wasn't any of those dollar figures. It was this. For the first time in years. I wasn't 100% rented out. I was 19% free. And the AI's closing line to me, the one I actually wrote down and stuck on my wall, was this: freedom isn't a number. It's a percentage. Keep growing it. So that's my honest answer to why I'll never be rich. The exact question I opened with. I will. The moment I fully stop renting 100% of myself to everyone except me. And I'm not there yet. Nobody watching this is either. Probably. But 19% free beats 0% free. And that's the whole game. One uncomfortable percentage point at a time. If you want to run this same audit on your own life, here's exactly what to do. In order. Step 1. Stop looking at your income and calculate your real gap instead. The actual space between what comes in and what goes out. Step 2. Go hunting for your ghost expenses. Almost everyone has at least a couple $100s a month quietly leaking out that they would never actually miss if it disappeared tomorrow. Step 3. Protect one unrented hour a day like it's non-negotiable. Because it's the only raw material you have that nobody can take from you. And step 4. Turn that hour into the smallest, fastest, most embarrassing version of something with a price tag. And launch it this week. Not someday. You don't need more hours in your day. Nobody's getting those. You need to stop renting out every single one you already have. So here's my real question for you. The one I want you to actually sit with instead of scrolling past. What's your rented hour? Where is the time going that you'd never get back if you added it all up? Tell me, honestly. I read every single one. And I promise I'm not going to judge you for it. Because 3 months ago mine was scrolling at 1 in the morning asking a chatbot why I'd never be rich. If any part of this cracked something open in you the way it did for me, stick around. Because next week I'm asking it the one question that actually made it hesitate before answering. And trust me, you don't want to miss what it said back.